Hey guys, it's your girl Kizzy Rock, and yes, Kizzy Rock is my birth given name. Happy Sunday, guys. I want to say hey to all my subscribers, new as well as seasoned. I got a word for you. Tap in. Happy Sunday, guys. I want to speak to you guys about the season of the underdog. This is the season of the underdogs. But really quickly, this is so random. Am I the only person who prefers the end of the bread? Like I will literally pull all the bread out just to get to the end of the bread. I'm telling you, I'm so weird. I'm really, really weird. Am I the only person who like the end of the bread? Because most people throw it away. Uh, okay, guys. So I was going through some things in my garage, and I heard the Holy Spirit say to me, clear as day, that the reason why you're seeing volume increase in your reach, in addition to your obedience, in addition to your persistency, in addition to servitude, etc., it's also your authenticity. The fact that you stay true to who you are. In saying that, most people stray from their true authentic self for whatever reason. And some people have and don't even realize it because it was not intentional, right? It may have just been from trauma, could have been from a heartbreak, but it changed you into the person who is really not who you always were. Instead, it made you defensive. Instead, it made you guarded. Instead, it made you angry. Instead, it made you want to shell up for whatever reasons, right? But you're not your true authentic self. And see, when you've already been damaged in the sense of trauma, let it be through bullying or just rejection issues, abandonment, etc., you're going to most likely, not everybody, you're going to most likely already struggle with confidence anyway. So because your confidence is already shooken from maybe trauma in childhood, things like that, then it will be very, very difficult trying to find your footing and being your true authentic self in adulthood, because you're still basically disabled from the trauma that has happened and you never healed from that. So you're not your true authentic self. Of course, this is not for everybody. And so the people that God needs you to reach, your audience, they can't find you. I posted on the community page the other day that God is going to start requiring some of you, or convicting, I should say, convicting some of you to start YouTube channels. And YouTube was just to the front of my head, if you will, but just something, social media, because, we can't deny the fact that social media is a gift and a curse, if you will, but your reach, you can reach, I have people on my channel from different countries, right? You can reach so many different people. So God may start convicting some of you, and he's going to start pulling some of you out your shell. Some of you are in your shell, again, because of trauma, because of heartbreak, things like that, where people have silenced you, or not accepted you, or judged you. So you're in the shell, you're very shy. And God is going to really start tapping you and pulling you out of that, because this is the season of the underdogs. This is your season where whatever God calls you to do, if you walk within that obedience, there's going to be a grace that comes upon you, and you're going to be shifted so quickly over other people. God's going to use people to see you, right? You're just being obedient to what God asks you to do. He's going to place people in your path who will see something in you, who can help accelerate you. This is why most of you guys are here. I was stuck at 565 subscribers for a year and a half. And then God allowed Pastor R.C. Blix to see me in almost overnight, right? I've never, ever in the 2 years since I found him, asked him to share a recording. Never. I would have probably been too intimidated, if I'm honest. But God will use somebody to, there's a couple of people who God kind of had me but see, God will have you watching people first, because anybody can say anything, right? But there's going to be certain things God will have you watch. And you have to use discernment to really see. And so listen, some of you, people may be watching you, like seriously. So this is why you got to always be on your game face at all times, right? The year of the underdogs. I was speaking to the young lady who I made the recording about yesterday in regards to living in the hotel with her 3 children. And she was telling me, as we were speaking, that she had a rough childhood, dealt with some molestation, mother and father divorced very early, father, which this happens a lot, remarry and raise the stepchildren, and the biological children tends to kind of take the back seat. This happens way more than people really speak about. People speak about maybe the father not being in the household, right? That's one trauma, if you will. But then there are fathers who, and mothers as well, I'm not picking on my men, who will literally remarry and take care of their stepchildren in the like you talking about rejection. So she was telling me that that's something that she experienced. So in saying all that, obviously she experienced trauma from that in childhood. Well, fast forward now, I think she said 40, 41. And her mother would say things to her in the past, like she's a bad mom because her children are living in the hotel, right? And mind you, she's trying her best. And she was saying that she don't think that her mom say the things to intentionally break her down, but sometimes people just say things, but it really breaks you down. And each time you hear that, you're already insecure anyway, because you're already in a situation where you don't want to be in the hotel. You just don't have a choice. You're trying to, the kids got a roof, they got food, you're trying your best. And then here you got people criticizing you, and those same people who are criticizing you for being, I guess, the way you are or how they view you, don't even realize that half of the time they're the cause of why you're that way. So you adults here, right? Y'all exposing to the trauma. So regardless of what my dad did, but you sit here and belittled him and plan all this stuff in my head because of your own emotions dealing with him. So you want me to be perfect, or you want to judge my life, and really you're partially responsible because of the life you created for me. I didn't feel safe. I didn't have a stable environment. So now you're criticizing me for not having a quote unquote stable environment for my children, even though I'm trying. Underdog. You're praising the other children who may be more stable, but because I'm over here struggling in the hotel, I'm the underdog. Those of you who were in marriages or relationships and you got left for whatever reason, right? No fault of your own. You were doing the right thing. Honey, you was cooking your oatmeal every morning. You was bringing him that oatmeal and some grits and some eggs and that bad. Listen, you was holding it down, honey, right? You was holding it down. Or you, sir, you were holding it down. You went to work every day, right? You provided for your family. You did the right thing, right? You came home and tried to help with the kids, tried to brush your daughter's hair. You didn't know what you was doing, but you put some clamps in her hair. You had the child all jack up going to school, honey. But you, sir, you tried. Kizzy, we ain't got time for this today. On the flip side of what I'm saying, a bird literally just landed on my window. Oh my God. A bird literally just landed on my window and sitting here staring at me. So, but on the flip side, I think it's the cutest thing when men are really trying with like their girls, even though they may not have it to a T, but like they're really trying to brush or braid or put some clamps in. Like they're really, really trying. They don't know what they be doing, but they try. I think it's the cutest thing. But anyway, okay, so whatever. You were holding things down and somebody left you. And you went years of being hurt. You went years of, transparent moment here. I've said this before and I'll say it again. I have to be honest. I've never ever been left, right? Not to say I've never been hurt. That's the difference. I've never been left, meaning somebody leaves you in a relationship because they don't want you or they chose someone over you. I heard from several people that, as well as some divorces, I guess, just depends on, it feels literally like a death. So in saying that, if that was you, then obviously I'm sure it took maybe years to really, really get back to yourself, but you still feel like I didn't deserve that, right? Or like he or she moved on and, they're all happy over here and here I'm left to pick up the pieces. I didn't deserve that. Season of the underdog. Those of you who were bullied and, nobody wanted you in their circle and, I don't know, maybe they picked on you because whatever, underdog. Or in my case, not bullied or rejected, but misunderstood. Being misunderstood could also cause seeds of rejection because you're one way, but people, they just can't, well, the right people can grasp you. Let me just say that. This bird is literally sitting on my window and wouldn't move. I mean, just sitting there. Either that's my oldest brother or that's Mr. Steve. Birds play, Kizzy, stay on topic here. Okay, so being misunderstood, and many chosen people are, seriously, being misunderstood can also have seeds of rejection, because it's almost like you want to be understood and you can't understand why people can't understand you, but they just can't understand you because you're just cut from a different cloth. So it's not a good or bad thing. They just can't understand you. I remember, and it broke my heart. I remember probably about 4 guys who I can think of just in general, who I would kind of just randomly see, like after school, not after school, but like after school days, like in adulthood. And they'd be like, I had the biggest crush on you, such and such, but I just never shot my shot because, either you were out of my league or I knew you wouldn't talk to somebody like me, like almost like putting themselves down. And I'm like, are you serious? I'm the most down to, and they're like, well, yeah, I mean, I know that now, but back then I really felt like, and I'm like, you say people can misunderstand you. Here I'm sitting here trying to figure out why I can't fit in because God done got me all somewhere to the left, right? I'm trying to figure out why I can't fit in or why people can't really see my true, authentic heart and just see past me and just see my spirit. But the average person just can't see your spirit, right? They have to be tapped in. And it would bother me so bad that people thought this, completely misunderstood. I would have been the person who you couldn't get rid of because I would have been too much of your friend and harassing your nerves every 5 minutes because I'm such a great friend. And here you're sitting here thinking I would have reject you. Misunderstood. Or you have petty, catty women who think that maybe their man looking at you, or when you walk in the room, you're going to demand attention and they can't get no shine. And you're just sitting there with your self-esteem just as probably low as theirs because you're still trying to figure this thing out called life and trying to figure out where you fit in life. And they're adding to your trauma. And all along, all you want to do is love on them, but they dislike you because they see something in you that you can't see in yourself. Misunderstood. Underdog. But honey, woo, the year of the underdogs. Or you've been dragged by a narcissist, honey. Let me just tell you. In whatever way. Could have been your own parent, right? Your own sibling, your own auntie who you grew up in the house with, your husband, whoever, right? Narcissist. If you've ever had an encounter with a narcissist, especially depends on how long they had access to you, you were on your face. You were on your face. Self-esteem to the floor, confidence to the floor, didn't know who you are, don't know your head from your feet, gone, just straight gone. underdog. But this right here, God said to me clear as day in my garage, this is the year of the underdogs. So you can take one of the examples that I just given or plug in, because there's so much more things we can plug in, but for the sake of time, this is the year of the underdogs. It is going to be crucial for some of you to stay in obedience. It's going to be crucial for some of you to stay in obedience. It's going to be crucial for some of you to stay in obedience. Your obedience is what's going to lead you to the open door. That open door is then what's going to lead to the acceleration. You will be accelerated in any area that you touch if it is your season. And it's the season of the underdogs. Those of you with those broken hearts because people left you and you were left to pick up the pieces. Listen, God's going to send you somebody. God's going to send you somebody that's going to make you question your own sanity on why you even chose that fool child of God to begin with in the past. But your obedience, meaning, some examples. If God have already been telling you to start working on that defensiveness. Yes, my child, I know you've been hurt. But I can't bring you or accelerate anything or open a door to anything if you haven't worked on a defensiveness that is, I mean, you have every reason to have it, but I can't take you anywhere until we really work on that. So I need you to go to therapy, right? Or I need you to, I don't know, start working on asking me for grace and strength to start forgiving this person. Because when you get to a certain level, the higher you start going, you will realize what makes it so easier. And again, forgiveness and patience is not my strong. Those are my two things that's not my strong point. But the higher I climb, one thing I've realized about forgiveness is it makes it so much easier to forgive when you change the perspective. Meaning, if this person hadn't done such and such, I would not be where I am now. See, it's hard to really work on the forgiveness when you're still stuck in the rut, because it is almost like you're still swimming in quicksand. But once you start moving up and taking the faith and the obedience steps, and keep climbing and climbing and climbing, when you get to a certain altitude, you'll be like, wow, if that hadn't happened, then I would have never met this man, right? If that never happened, I would have never connected with this person who was able to help me start this business or X, Y, and Z, right? Or if I had stayed with that nut, Lord, I'm going to stop calling your churn nuts and fools, right? If I had stayed with this child of God, I would have still been stuck in this toxic, miserable marriage or relationship. And I would have just still been just doing nothing. Absolutely nothing. But going through his phone or going through her purse, right? Speaking of that, why don't men like going through women's purse? That's a question this is so random. Most men I've met, you can be like, can you go get my cell phone? Or can you they don't like to go on a woman's purse. I always wondered why. Why is that? My fellas, can y'all tell me? Why don't y'all like going into our purses? But your obedience is going to take you through in order to lead you to this acceleration. Whatever God has been asking you to do, if God has been telling you to come out of your shell and start making social media things, the person you're seeking or you're looking, or you're quote unquote waiting for a kingdom partner or a kingdom spouse, may find you right on YouTube, may find you right on social media. So this is why it's important not to try to do things for yourself, but you're doing it because you're paying attention to the convictions, which in turn have you to move in obedience. Within your obedience is where the blessing will be released. But your people are ignoring their convictions to be obedient to something because they just don't want to do it, or they don't want to feel like doing it, or they're afraid to doing it, afraid to do it. But in reality, that's what's holding up your suddenly. So that's why you're over here doing everything on your own. You're trying to go to the club every weekend trying to find a man, and you're trying to do this and do this and do this. And it's almost like, well, I mean, I don't understand. God, you promised me such and such. You promised me this, you promised me that, but I see nothing inside. Well, because you're God ain't gonna tell you to go to no club to find your husband. God didn't tell you that foolishness, right? You gotta pay attention to what he's asking you to do. What is God asking you to do? There's so much stuff I do or have done that I didn't want to do it. I just did it through through my obedience. And then through the obedience is when God sent certain things to me, etc., etc. This is the year of the underdogs, and some of you guys got to get serious. The people who have hurt you, let it be in childhood or just, in marriages or relationships, the people who have hurt you, you got to let these folks go. God will deal with these folks if he hasn't already. And stop waiting around to see what God, listen, God may have already dealt with them and you don't even know about it, right? But you can't be focused on that. When you get to a certain level, you would pray for these folks. Seriously, you would really honestly wish them the best because you know you have to go and get what God has for you. You got to let go of this hurt and that pain that's keeping you tied up. It's like you're saying, I want to move on and I want God to send. God can't send you somebody when you're still sitting here swimming in hurt, pain, all that stuff, side-eyeing your ex when he come get the kids. You get, right? You have to truly ask God to show you your heart. Listen, I mess around and had somebody tell me to do that, and I did that about 4 years ago. Woo! You talking about show you some things that you didn't even know was up in there. Things that happened in second grade, things that happened in fifth. Like, ask God to show you your heart. Ask God to show you your heart. He's going to start showing you things over days, weeks, and months. Offenses that you thought you forgot about, but you just really kind of buried it. These are going to be things that he starts to work on one by one, one by one, one by one. And this process in turn will get you to start healing so you can cap off whatever it is that you're still swimming in so God can get to you what he has for you. This is the season of the underdogs. God wants to give you double, triple for your trouble, but he can't if we're not in proper alignment. You got to get to the point where you come to the end of yourself to say, you know what, obviously, listen here, I don't know what the heck I'm doing because obviously I don't know what I'm doing because I done tried. So I might as well just go ahead and just try your way. If you say relocate, I'm going to relocate. If you say, this is that, and you're not looking back to this particular child of God, that I'm going to have to trust that. I'm going to have to stop in my mind trying to make it work, trying to think that a year from now, maybe he'll leave the side chick again. Like, leave that stuff alone. You're not going backwards. God is capping things so you can move forward. There is so much in, my spirit, honey. Just let me tell. There's one particular person who's really pressing, honey. And I mean, you got your ear to this phone. Let me just tell you what's on that other side. If you just take the step, what's on that other side is peace. What's on that other side is gentleness. What's on that other side is understanding. What's on that other side is love, unconditional, wholesome love. What's on that other side, honey, is a whole man. I'm talking about grown man, real man, sex. Excuse me, Lord. I'm talking about a whole man, honey. A whole man. And you talking about that child of God back there? Child, wait till you find that, not find, wait till God send you this man. You will laugh at yourself that you even sat in a season crying. God got a whole woman for you. One who just don't want you for your money. One who's not going to be sitting there emasculating you. Right? You chose that child of God because she was fine. She was thick. Right? You chose based on your flesh, sir. But it's cool. We live and we learn, right? Let her go. Let her go in the spiritual realm. The more you sit there and you keep thinking about her and reliving when she turned you out, right? Okay. It's Sunday, Kizzy. You keep reliving that stuff and reliving that stuff and reliving that stuff and reliving that stuff. You are keeping her alive in the spiritual realm. And God doesn't tell you, you can't save her. Only he can save her. But you got to let her go in the meantime. You're holding up your own blessings. God is not going, if I ain't learned nothing else, God is not going to bless a mess. God will not send his ordained blessings within such, as much as he loves you, he is not going to send his ordained blessings into a messy life that has not been healed, that is not wholesome, and that is not in alignment. When you are in alignment with God, it means you've come to the end of yourself. You're tired of trying things your way. And you're going to finally say, all right, God, whatever you want. Even if I don't feel like it, I'm going to do it. Whatever you want, I'll do it. And then, boom, acceleration. I want to share this because it's not easy. And I know I speak in a way of not just me, but I guess people speak in a way that it makes it seem that we think it should be easy. No, it's just that most times you done been through it. So you know what's on the other side, right? I know if I didn't remain obedient to my convictions with certain things, I know I would have still been stuck in some old dead-end relationship. Girl, child, ooh, bless you, sir, though, if you're listening. Much love, seriously. But I ain't got time. So most times it's because the person has already lived it, or God has just given you, of course, using you as a vessel, so he's giving you certain downloads so you can share it, right? Because some things I share, I haven't been through it per se, but there's just downloads that I get in the spiritual realm, so I can be used as a vessel to give it to someone else. Really quickly, because somebody commented this yesterday, and then two people emailed it to me again last night in regards to quote unquote, somebody's not my type, right? So I guess one of the big conversations that's going on now is, will God send somebody who's not quote unquote your type? Here's my thing about that, right? And there's different answers, just my perspective. Personally, I feel like you have to be attracted to the person. Now, again, that's not saying that the person have to look at her, at least not for me, because I'm not a person I'm not like big on looks. There's other things I like. I like intelligence. I like comedic personalities. I like a masculine man, but he still got that fun side to him. So when I start harassing his nerves, he just don't take me serious, right? So there's other qualities that I look for, but I get it. Some people like what they like when it comes down to physical things, et cetera, et cetera. I do, in all fairness, I do believe you have to have some kind of attraction to the person, right? I mean, I can physically, I won't call any names, but I can physically think of a couple of just like famous people that maybe we all know, who I can really say that they're very handsome, or but I don't have like they don't do it for me, if you will. But that doesn't mean that there's anything bad. It just means it's just not for me. So personally, I believe that whoever God has for you, there's a natural desire because the spirits are attracted to each other. So even if they're not quote unquote physically your type, if it's from God, oh, they will become your type because the spirits are connected. And once those spirits collide, honey, that's all you can see. You can't even see nothing else past that. So while you're still waiting and you're still saying, well, this person's not my type and I can't, well, because maybe, maybe just not God's ordained timing. But, excuse me. But when God has somebody for you, that person will naturally, some kind of way, if they're not your type today, somewhere supernaturally, something's going to click and they'll become your type. But yeah, I do think it's unfair for people to say, you just have to take the first thing smoking, even though this person is completely, like, you're completely unattracted to this person. Because then you're trying to force it. And then I'm going to side eye you because I ain't got time to be sitting here forced. You know what I mean? So, yeah. But in all fairness, I do think people with these long lists, like you got 50 things on the list of what you want, what you don't want. The man can't have no kids, but you got 27. Like, I mean, come on now, seriously, right? So I do think people need to be more fluid with what they're seeking. But yes, I do really feel like you got to have some kind of attraction. I mean, you don't have to be like googly eyes attractive, but something got to be there now. A little something, right? We can work on some other things, but you got to give me something, sir. You guys have a great one. Have a great weekend. It's your girl, Kizzy Rock.